Time to rev up the engine. It's the Eurosport Super Racing Weekend. Yokohama, power of performance. With lawn comfort, garden furniture.
And I come over, yeah, can't you feel the vibe is right? For us to get it on tonight, stop wasting time. Maybe it's the last chance to get the last dance. And I come over, yeah, can't you feel the vibe is right? For us to get it on tonight, stop wasting time. Maybe it's the last chance to get the last dance.
A very warm welcome to you from our commentary team of Formula 3000 sports car racer Jamie Davis. My name's Tony Delahunty, and at the Nurburgring we bring you Super Racing Weekend on the circuit, which is 2.8 miles long, based 55 miles from Cologne. On the programme, the Euro STC race 1 and 2, where they reverse the grid in race 2. Super Production, so that's Super Touring first, then Super Production, and then the FIA GT Championship. Interesting circuit, one that Jamie Davis has been on a number of times, and a very testing one too, Jamie.
Yeah, it's a good circuit. It's plenty of you know, different types of corner, up and down undulation and camber change, so it makes it quite challenging.
Well, we're going to have Gabriele Tarquini take us round. We're not going to test my Italian as he takes us round, though. We'll strap you into the seat. Jamie Davis, take us round the Nurburgring.
Yeah, thanks very much, Tony. Okay, so we're just coming round onto the pit straight now. It's just building up the throttle, accelerating onto the pit straight. Just accelerating now, starting the lap just across the line, accelerating up to 6th gear, heading towards the Castro S. Coming up to this corner, it's a little bit difficult on the braking as you're coming in to stop the car. Turning in, using plenty of the curb on the right and then to the left. It's accelerating hard now, going back up through the gears again. Just heading for the forward curve. Just basically bang the car into 4th gear, turn it in, plenty of oversteer as you go through this corner. And then going down to 2nd gear for this right. Tend to get quite a bit of understeer as you're going through this corner. Just then winding back up on the power again, using the curb on the exit. Accelerating up to 5th gear, down to the Dunlop curve. Hard on the brakes for this corner, back down to 2nd gear. See the camber in the road there as you're exiting. Try and keep the car more to the inside on the exit, building up the power again. Back up through the gears, up to 4th gear, into the quick left, which is the chef curve. Just feathering the throttle slightly and then back hard on the power again as you're exiting. Hold 4th, back down to 3rd gear for this left. Goes in. Normally you can push quite hard through this corner. And then into the next right, going onto the back straight now. The car tends to have a little bit of oversteer on the exit of this one, where the corner drops away a little bit. Accelerating now down on the back straight. Down through the ITT bend. Gets hard on the brakes then for the chicane, Vidal chicane, back down to 2nd gear. Use plenty of the curve going through, but watch the bollards, and then trying to get the traction, trying to get the power down for the exit. Hold 2nd gear into this one, push very hard through here, and then just try and get on the power as soon as you can for the exit, and then you start your next lap.
Faultless lap.
Not too bad,
yeah. Italiano. Jamie Davis helping us along with our thanks also to allowing him in the passenger seat, so to speak, with Gabriele Tarquini. And of course Tarquini, the man in pole position with a Honda Accord. Next to him, Nicola Larini. On the 2nd row, Matt Neal. Nice to see him there. Been applying his excellent trade in Australia with V8, so he'll have to get used to Super Tours, but to be on the 2nd row of the grid, he clearly is. Now there's the championship. Giovanardi, 449 points. The Alfa Romeo twins at the top there with 418 for Larini. Tarquini with good results at the last meeting at the A1 ring, where he's climbing up nearer to them. And Tarquini with a declaration of intent as we look further down the points table. that he clearly is the man in form at the moment. The Honda Accord suits this circuit.
Yeah, it seems to be that the Honda is definitely performing well, as proved at the A1 ring at the previous race, and again this weekend, you know, putting the car in pole position is exactly where he needs to be.
Well, you and I had words yesterday about how much it takes to learn this circuit. Matt Neal, for instance, has learned it very quickly. He'd only done it before in the Nordschleife back in 1988 in a 24-hour race.
Yeah, I mean, as I said in qualifying, you know, at this level, it doesn't really take that long to learn the circuit. You know, once you've done a few laps around there, then, you know, you're beginning to get the feel pretty soon. So he's done a good job.
So Larini alongside him with the Alfa Romeo. There's Matt Neal with Nissan Primera. Not very far off the pace. And Wolfish will be the next car we feature in just a moment. Intermediate tyres.
Yeah, it's going to make for an interesting race, I think. You know, I mean, the qualifying was a different story. Now they've got this damp track at the beginning of this race, so you know, hopefully they can all keep on the track.
What's going on here? What is Giovinazzi doing in the pit road? I mean, there's the man leading the championship. There's clearly a problem there. The green flag going out. It's not a green flag for Giovinazzi. He's clearly got a problem.
Yeah, he's going to have to start from the pit lane there now, for sure.
Waiting for the red lights. They'll go to green. Quite a wind blowing at the Nurburgring. And a fair bit of rain and mist and conditions continually changing here. But not a bad start from Tarquini. Larini going with him as well. Matt Neal, I think, will get the third place into the first corner. But definite declaration of intent from Gabriele Tarquini. Coming out of the pits. Well, I know it wasn't, in fact, Giovinazzi that was coming out of the pits there. So, real disaster for him. But a good start from Gabriele Tarquini.
Yeah, you can see Tarquini for sure. He had the revs just perfect when the green light came on. Just managed to pull away, just had minimum wheel spin, and just made that getaway. And there he is now leading the race.
And Matt Neal in third place. Damp circuit at the moment, and we're told by the weather people that can be changed. It could get some slightly warmer weather. They could dry a line out. But it could also rain harder as well. It's going to be very interesting indeed. Windscreen wipers going on all of the cars at the moment. And they're getting away a little bit. Further back, there's a little bit of a battle going on. See 20 Gianluca De Lorenzi with the BMW up into fourth place. And Giovinazzi, I think, still in that pit road. Confirmation of that in just a moment at 3. But still it's Tarquini who leads in fourth place, as I said, Gianluca De Lorenzi. Matt Neal in third place. Larini in second place. Look at the front, though. And look at the amount of rain on the camera at the moment. Tarquini's getting away, but, of course, Matt Neal keeping Larini very, very honest at the moment. And while he's looking big, Matt Neal, he's a big lad anyway, in the mirrors of Nicola Larini, it means that the man in front has got a clear circuit and doesn't have to worry too much about the two behind him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's quite a tricky situation at the moment because it seems to be that the circuit's drier on some parts than others. So, you know, therefore, every lap you're going around, you're not quite sure what to expect when you come into each of the corners. But Tarquini's got a clear track in front of him, and you know, he's able just to pull out now and edge out that lead while the other two are scrapping.
The young Finn, Mikko Lampinen, is in fifth place. Sardelli in sixth. That man has already lost one lap. Giovinazzi, the championship leader, it is all turning against him in the last two races.
Yeah, this is not bad for, obviously, you know, being in that position where you're leading the championship and then not being able to get onto the grid to start the race, and it's not looking too good for him at the moment.
And it's not looking too nice at the moment for Larini. It's looking very nice indeed for Matt Neal. Has a look down the inside. Can he make it stick? Well, he's not making it easy for him, is Nicola Larini, but it's through is Matt Neal. And one wonders now that Matt Neal has got through. He's clearly got his dander up. He's done well in qualifying. He's now moved a place up from his qualifying position from third to second. And has he got Tarquini in his sights? Yes, he has, but there's the move again. Beautiful, sweet as a nut. And Matt Neal goes through, and he becomes an Englishman in an Italian sandwich.
But it's good news. But, you know, Matt now, he needs to get his head down and try and reel in. There's a yellow flags there, but he needs to try and reel in Tarquini, but, you know, just try and keep the thing on the island because it's so tricky, the conditions out there.
Oh, what a beautiful link to Giovinazzi, who reels out, but being a couple of laps down. So poor points, if any, for him. Of course, the one thing that we're conscious of in the second race, if he finishes near the back, he's going to be starting at the front. So what a second race. Don't go anywhere. It's going to be a very exciting afternoon. Gianluca De Lorenzi, and he is challenged and taken. And that's the 18 car that goes through there. Slick move, if you like, from Sandro Sardelli, one of the amateurs. And it was Sardelli who was very, very quick in practice and in free practice as well. And the conditions there varied from wet to dry. Let's have a look at that move again. Sardelli commits himself to going for the inside. Looks for a moment like they might touch, but it's clean as you like from both of them. So Sardelli takes over from Gianluca De Lorenzi. And that is, of course, Nissan Primera getting through from BMW. But right at the front, still Tarquini, and the rain is coming down heavier and heavier. And this is going to come to a question of setup.
Yeah, this is you know, it's a tricky situation. Depends on how they decided to set the car at the beginning of the race, but you know, at the moment now they're needing to keep off of the paint, keep off of the curves, because you know that's the kind of situation. It's like,
where has Neil gone? I can tell you where he's gone, because in my ears, our producer speaks, he has just spun off on the far side of the circuit. He has regained in third place, but he isn't in second. And there's a change from somebody who is clearly on the wrong tyres. One of the Audis in the pits already. More on Matt Neal, still in third place. That's Roberto Casiago, the Italian, who is making a change to give himself a little bit more grip. He's clearly struggling. The other thing, of course, is Casiago, no slouch either. He's going to be likely to be at the front in the second race. What a race that's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to make it definitely quite interesting for the second race, that's for sure. But you know, that was unbelievable for Matt Neal there.
Look at Larini, he's shot it. He's monstering on Tarquini at the moment. Tarquini looked like he was going away. He's going to disappear into the distance. First, Matt Neal gets past Larini. Larini must have the perfect wet setup. Tarquini, well, it's one thing getting up with Tarquini, another thing passing him. Larini probably says he knows better.
Could have been a situation there maybe with the tyres. Possibly Tarquini started on intermediates and Larini going for the full wet, which would actually explain why possibly he was slower on the earlier stages when the track was drier, but now the rain is coming down harder. It's played right into his hands.
You're listening to Jamie Davis, who's been a number of times in 3000 and sports cars on this circuit. You're watching Larini, and Larini has gone through. Tarquini in second place. So Nicola Larini on a charge, and of course Tarquini, it doesn't look, let's be fair, it doesn't look like he can do anything about it.
No, I mean, Tarquini's car still looks quite smooth, not really moving around too much, but just doesn't seem to have the speed there to challenge Larini at the moment.
If you've just joined us, the man leading the championship, Fabrizio Giovanardi, in the Alfa Romeo. He had to start from the pit road. He came out 2.5 laps, 3 laps he came out, so he's clearly going to finish right at the back of the field.
That's a see there, a mistake by Tarquini.
Yeah,
the rear of the car was going there.
Yeah, he left it open and it, straight down the inside. You didn't have to ask Larini twice, just said thank you very much.
Exactly.
Went through and the door was left wide open. Well, it's Larini. He's got to pace himself rather nicely now because Tarquini won't give up, but it certainly looks like this car can get the power down more easily. They're delighted. Not so for Giovanardi, but certainly for Nicola Larini. So Larini gets valuable points. He's lying second in the championship. Giovanardi, well, not that bad then for Tarquini, because he closes down on Giovanardi, who's the man he's really got to get the gap down on.
That's right, both going to be closing up there.
Matt Neal finishes in third place despite the spin, leading amateur Sandro Sardelli, Gianluca De Lorenzi and Mikko Lampinen making up the top 6. We in a moment will be able to hear from Nicola Larini, who's no doubt delighted with that. That's the 100th win for the team Nordauto. It's an Alfa Romeo that takes the flag, but it looked like it might be so different.
No, I've had understeering problem at the beginning. It was impossible for me to control also Neil. And in the middle of the race, I found a fantastic car, really performed, and I tried to attack Gabriele. Gabriele was not fast like the beginning, so it was quite easy at the end.
Thank you, Nicola.
And that was Monica Speets, an Nordauto team manager. But let's find out about Giovanardi, what the problem was there, and has it been solved? And I think we can now go to Fabrizio Giovanardi.
We
be fine in that because I finished my race with 3 laps and less, but for the second race I'm happy because the car is okay. I think all the weekend was not lucky for me, but it's a race.
Well, never mind, he's going to start at the other end of the grid when it gets to the main theme of the second race, 463 to 429. Tarquini, although Larini's got closer to Giovanardi, Tarquini lurking just behind the two of them. Interesting stuff.
Gap's definitely getting closer there at the top.
2 more races to go after this one. Well, in fact, 4 more races, because with Rama and Estoril. So Larini wins the first one. But will it be an Alfa Romeo that gets the flag in the second, where we reverse the grid? Listening to British Eurosport, you're watching some of the finest drivers in Super Racing Weekend. Lots more to come, including the FIA GT. Don't miss any of it. Stay with us. And you can see the cars coming around now for the start of the second Super Touring Car race. Remember, the grid is reversed, which means that Larini and Tarquini and Matt Neal all start at the very back. And Giovanardi, who had to start from the pits, if you've just joined us, he had engine problems before the start. Roberto Cocciaggio, the professional drivers, Fabrice Wolfich, all starting from the first and second rows. Big job on here for either Tarquini, Larini or Matt Neal to get through to the front.
Yeah, it's a long way back. Conditions as well. It looked a little bit better, obviously, from the first race, so that's going to help Tarquini at the moment.
But you've got to say that Giovanardi's the man who's leading the championship, and he's starting right at the front. Cosiejo up there as well with the Audi Quattro. We're waiting for the red lights to come across. You'll see them in the top corner of your screen, gives you a bit of a measure of the wind there. Very fierce wind at the Nurburgring today. And the lights go to green. Didn't look like a bad start there either for Roberto Cosciaggio. But we'll have a look at that in just a moment. And it looks like he's got away, hasn't he? The Audi A4 Quattro got away. And you're on board now with a man on a mission. That's Gabriele Tarquini. You can see Tarquini right at the back there. He's made up he made about 5 places on the first corner. 5 or 6. Oh, and he's going to be off. No, he's not. 15 came round straight in front of him. That Eric Carroll, the French driver, went sideways. And so did Fabrice. That is not Fabrice Wolfich, by the way. That was a complete mess up. And somehow or other, he managed to keep going to Gabriele Tarquini from the back. But out at the front, it is still the Audi Quattro of Roberto Cosciaggio, and the Italian driver got away very nicely indeed. He's got Fabrice Wolfich on his case, though, the other Honda Accord driver, and certainly on earlier qualifying times, I would expect Wolfich to give him a whole lot of trouble. Larini has got a bit of work to do. Giovanardi has gone through into 3rd place, but unscathed in that real turnaround a little bit earlier on was Gabriele Tarquini, and he really had to go sideways to avoid the spinning car. Somehow or other he managed just to do that, and now he's on the case again. Paulo Zadra was a driver who had real problems. This is Henrik Zammenzik, the German driver on the inside, a German driver about to be passed by the Italian one. Now Wolfich has gone through, and unless Cosciaggio can stay with him and have another peck at him, I think he can be likely to be dropping back. But Giovanardi, who has not been on this circuit, has not raced here before, doesn't at the moment look too happy with it. He's starting to drop back.
I would have thought Giovanardi's very happy, actually. You know, nothing to do with the circuit. He just made a terrible start and dropped back to 3rd position. So, you know, he's got his work cut out now to take the win.
But we're also interested in how Matt Neal fares. He had to come through from the 2nd row from the back. So did Nicola Larini. So did Gabriele Tarquini. But at the moment, it's Wolfich who leads and in second place it's Cossiaggio. Question, now Wolfish cannot really win this championship. Impossible. Any sort of arithmetic, it would take a miracle for him to be able to. I don't think it's possible. Now, from that pit road, as Tarquini, who's chasing the two Alfa Romeos in the championship, could there become an instruction? Slow the race down a little bit, allow Gabriele Tarquini to make more and more places, and even possibly, if he gets up with you at the end, allow Tarquini to take the win. Is that possible? Jamie Davis is the answer.
It's a possibility, but you know, I don't think Fabrice Wolfish is won one of these races yet, so you know he's going to be out there wanting to take the victory. But obviously Tarquini's looking for the championship, and if Honda played a game correctly, then you know they would be clever really to get Fabrice to back off a bit and maybe hold the train up so that he can gain and catch a position.
Well, it's the last thing he's doing at the moment, because Wolfish is pulling away from Cossiaggio. There's no answer that Nicola Larini has at the moment. He's a good way back, but equally his teammate Giovanardi, he's falling off the pace there. You can see the car number 20 very much on the case. That is Gianluca De Lorenzi. He's come from the third row from the back of the grid. And Wolfish, well, there it is. Position 1, lap 9.
At the moment,
it wasn't that, it's 9 laps to go, of course.
At the moment there with Wolfish, obviously he's leading the race. I mean, with Tarquini, he's not really in a position at the moment where you could say he's going to win this race. So he needs to pass a few more people yet. But I would say if he gets into the top 5 and still looking challenging, then Honda are going to have to think seriously about pushing him up. In fact, he is moving up.
Well, that is Tarquini, and the man that he is threatening at the moment is Gianluca De Lorenzi with the BMW. So he's in 6th place.
He's getting there.
He really is coming on, and it won't be that long. I mean, I'm sure the first target, perhaps, is to reduce the point scoring of Giovanni.
That is true.
Giovanni, if he can reduce his point scoring, and he's gone through there, that's another place he's climbed up, and that is the man in front of him that he wants to reduce the point scoring off, the man in the lead of the championship. If he can do that, or get ahead of him and knock some more points away, well, he doesn't really care at the moment if Tarquini and Larini get closer together in first and second, as long as he's closer going into the last 4 races, at the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at the moment, Tarquini's main aim is to finish in front of Larini and Giovanardi, but you know, if that happens, then he's going to be looking in a good situation, obviously, for the championship, because he's going to gain points on them. Whether or not Wolfish will actually slow down is another question. I don't think he will, to be perfectly honest with you, because at the end of the day, he's a race driver and he wants to win. And if he hasn't won in this series yet, then he's going to be all out to do that.
Have you ever had team orders and been told to slow down a little bit, hold up for a teammate?
No, never.
Would you?
Debatable.
I wonder. Jamie Davis alongside me at the moment. My name's Tony Delahunty. The silver car you see there, it's the Audi Quattro, the A4 Audi Quattro of Roberto Cossiaggio, chasing after the man who is in the lead at the moment, the Honda Accord of Fabrice Wolfish. In third place, Giovanardi, still Tarquini is now just 5 seconds off the leading car. Now, he's right up with Giovanardi now. On the pace of it, you'd think he'd have a little problem getting past. But Giovanardi is conscious also that this is the man who's trying to catch him in the championship.
Both got to be careful, because if any of them make a mistake, then obviously they're not going to score any points at all. So, you know, the ultimate aim, they've got to both finish this race. But obviously Tarquini wants to get ahead. Giovanardi, I'd imagine, will try a little bit to stop them going through, but at the end of the day, they've both got to keep it running.
And the biggest gap in points, of course, is right at the front of it. If he manages to win it, there's 5 points between first and second place, so he certainly won't want the man who's behind him to win the race, and he must be conscious that if he gets past him, if in fact that Tarquini gets past him, he's got to be within a chance of winning it, because he's come so quickly through the field so far.
He's come through very quickly, but as you tend to get nearer the front, it always tends to get a little bit harder and a little bit harder to get by, obviously, because the lap times get closer and closer. So, but at the moment, the Honda does seem to have the pace. Tarquini's got the performance there, so that is always a help when you're trying to pass somebody.
Right, well, Jamie Davis, get into that seat now with Tarquini, and let's see if and how he can get through, and where you think he should get through into third place. You're riding with our commentary team, with a professional racing driver, with Jamie Davis. Just let's see how you'd get through that.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, Tarquini's just got to follow, really, and just suss the situation, just see exactly where he is quicker than, obviously, than Giovanardi. But for me, one of the best places to overtake on this circuit is going down into the Vidal chicane. So if you can get work the car into position so that you can get a run on somebody onto the back straight, which allows you to tow and then pass going into the Vidal chicane, that's where I would actually try and get the car placed.
Interesting at the moment, Wolfish is not opening the gap on Colciejo. Maybe they're saying to him at the moment, okay, you can win the race, but don't go too far ahead. Leave Colciejo in a position where if Tarquini can get past the Alfa Romeo, he's going to be in a position to get up into second place. And then they've got a 1-2, haven't they?
It's a possibility, but I really couldn't say. I'd imagine Tarquini's on the radio trying to get the team to instruct some orders, but whether they will or not, it's anyone's guess.
But he still, at the moment, has not been able to pass Fabrizio Giovanardi.
See, Tarquini's actually getting into a good position now.
So under the bridge they will go, and it just sweeps round to the left at the moment. And of course, all the time, Giovanardi's got to be careful as well, because if he loses it, he could lose another huge parcel of points, couldn't he?
Exactly.
It's going to go right down to the wire on these super racing weekends, and we've got 2 more of them to come up. And lots more in this programme as well, but look there, the lights are right on.
Just needs to wait for him to move over and go out the inside.
Down the inside, down the inside, it's just towards the Vidal chicane. They're going, they're not going to make it round either of them. There wasn't a lot of room.
I think they were both watching each other to see who break first, but
there wasn't a
none
lot
of
of
them
room for Giovanardi, but I mean, just driving incident, racing incident?
I think so, yeah. And they basically both looking at each other, looking at who's going to break first, and they both break too late, and obviously just overshot, went over the grass.
Well, Giovanardi will not be able, we would think, to stay with him now. Tarquini will, well, he'll look ahead and he'll see Colciejo there. Wolfish now what's he saying if he's on the radio? I'm through here, I'm coming. Get Wolfish to hold him up. I want winning points. Let's see that incident again. Talk us through that.
Yeah, he's just classic, really. Worked the move right from the corner before, managed to get the tow, waited basically for Giovanardi to move over to the right and then just snuck it up the inside, but both of them just braking too late, locking a wheel, and just pushed on then over the grass.
British Eurosport bringing you the action again as it happens, and it's the man threatening to really challenge for the championship who made that move there. Tarquini started right at the back. He's now into 3rd place. He's past Giovanardi, the man leading the championship. He's chasing after Colciejo and Wolfish. What will happen? You're not going to find out for a moment or two, but you will right after the break. It was at the Nurburgring. Wolfish, Colciejo, Tarquini, Giovanardi. It still is, but the storm clouds up ahead are threatening, and we've still got some 6 laps to go. Well, Wolfish may have some team orders coming into his ears. He may not. He may be just being told to keep it nice and easy, win the motor race. And I'm looking to see if Tarquini can get nearer to Colciejo, then he'll get into 2nd place. 35 points for 2nd place. Further back, I can tell you that Giovanardi still in 4th place at the moment. Giovanardi, if you just joined us, had a terrible first race, courtesy of the fact that he had engine problems and had to start from the pits, and that was a couple of laps later on. 5.4 seconds, big slice to get back for Tarquini even.
Yeah, it's going to be quite tight. I don't exactly know what lap times Tarquini's putting in at the moment, but if he just keeps really pushing hard, if it goes with the performance which he had in qualifying, then for sure I'd imagine he's going to be closing that gap. Whether he can get close enough by the end, then I can't really say at the moment, but he's definitely closing.
And there is Larini, and Larini makes the pass, just drops down on the low side from Gianluca De Lorenzi in the BMW. So he moves up to 5th place. Had no real sight of Matt Neal in this one. He started from the back, not going too well for him, but the Larini with the Alfa Romeo in 5th, but the battle that we are going to be watching in a moment, and we're kept up to date with it all the time, so you will miss absolutely nothing of what happens in the battle at the front. It's still Wolfish, it's still Colciejo, and it's still that man Tarquini. Great driving from Gianluca De Lorenzi, after all, a completely amateur driver in the BMW and in the top 6.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they deserve that for sure. He's doing a good job this weekend.
That's Tarquini. His immediate target is Colciejo, and after that, it's his teammate. But the Audi 4 Quattro at the moment, managing perhaps not totally comfortably to maintain its lead over Gabriele Tarquini in the Honda Accord. But we're on board again. And, well, he's not got a record of winning at the Nurburgring. Of course, he finished second in the first race after leading it. He'll very much want to get at least into second place. And at the moment, with 7 laps gone, 5 to go, it's still, well, he's some 6 seconds behind his teammate who's leading it. And it doesn't look as if Colciejo is dropping back that much, although 3/10 off on that last lap, but he's going to have to concertina it a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure what Wolfish... I would personally imagine that he's just going out for the win. I don't think that he's going to be trying to help Tarquini too much, but, you know, Tarquini just needs to get his head down, really, and just really try and close that gap.
Jamie, I mean, Wolfish was pulling away a little bit from Colciejo. It just seems to be now just constantly holding the gap. There could be other instructions in there as well, couldn't there? You know, just keep it steady and win the race.
Quite possibly, yeah. I'd imagine the team, you know, are just saying to him, he obviously hasn't won at the moment before, so he's just having to just keep a clean head, really, and
well,
just...
And here's Matthew Neal.
Yeah, exactly.
Matthew Neal's showing. I don't know why. Maybe he's had an incident earlier on that's prevented him from coming through the field, because he's had a pretty darn good weekend, considering, you know, he's had to get used again to Super Touring cars. And it's 16 that is in front of him, which is Eric Carroll, the French driver, the amateur driver in a BMW. But I don't think if Matt Neal makes his intention to pass fairly quickly, that will be very much that Eric Carroll he can do about it. Neal currently in 10th place with the Nissan Primera.
Having a look.
And I tell you, at the moment, our timekeepers on British Eurosport telling me that Tarquini is getting a little bit closer. And he might get close enough to challenge. Well, tall order, I would have thought. We're watching the battle for 10th place at the moment. But at the front, it's still Wolfish looking for his first big victory with the Honda Accord. But his teammate is in 3rd place, searching for valuable points in the challenge to try and win the championship. Here is Neal, down on the inside. Again, classic inside manoeuvre. Thank you very much. Door open. He almost sort of helped him through the door, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a nice move, really. I mean, it's quite easy to snag a break or something when you're going into the corner. So, you know, that was just a perfect example, really, just up the inside and held the corner.
Staying dry, Matt Neal locks up a little bit, but and gets the car in motion again. He's got a way to go if he's going to climb any further up the field than that. He said just getting on a podium would be great. I mean, he's been racing the V8s in Australia. Well, he's already reached one podium this weekend, so he may well be very happy with that. And of course, he qualified up there in 3rd place. But this, now, he is a little bit nearer. I mean, you wouldn't put money on him catching the 2nd place man, would you?
I mean, any position now which Tarquini can gain is positive, really, because he's already ahead of the other 2 guys who are in front of him in the championship. So, you know, any points now is a bonus.
And he's looking for those bonus points. Gabriele Tarquini in the Honda Accord goes a-hunting, and he's hunting down Roberto Colciejo. And Colciejo is having to work very hard. He's trying to stay with Fabrice Wolfish. And what wonders at the moment, if you know, Colciejo trying so hard to stay with Wolfish, I'm thinking, well, that's good enough. And maybe, just maybe, there hasn't been too much attention to his mirrors just yet.
Quite possibly, yeah, but I'd imagine actually that the team will be holding out the pit board of a plus and a minus of how far behind he is from Wolfish, and obviously how far in front he is from Tarquini. So unless he's not looking at the pit board, then you know, he might not know. But I would imagine the team are
Colciejo may not have given up the idea of an Audi victory here either.
Quite possibly.
If Wolfish makes a mistake, if they got the team orders wrong or something like that.
Did I notice some spots of rain on the camera then?
I think you did. Very astute of you. But at the moment, Tarquini, well, it's not spots of rain he's concerned about. He'll, of course, not want to make any mistake either with those 2 behind him. As Jamie Davis so correctly said before, he is a little bit closer, Jamie. And when you get that little bit closer, then you sort of, Matt Neal. He's in the beach, or he's on the beach. And that looks like the end of his weekend, which has had some good, some pretty good, and the last bit not very good at all.
Yeah, it's a shame to see him in the gravel there, obviously, after a very good first race. But he certainly made no fool of himself this weekend.
Absolutely not. very, very competent driver indeed, and so too is this guy. But he has got a bit to do yet to get into a position to chance his arm against Roberto Colciejo. Fabrice Wallfish will be well aware that he's now...
definitely starting to rain now. I'm just seeing a little bit of a reflection coming off the road in places as well.
So now it goes for the brave, doesn't it? Now it goes down to the brave.
Could quite turn out
Fabrice
interesting.
Wallfish can maybe just ease a little bit, not too much. Colciejo cannot ease a little bit. They go on to the last lap. Is he too far away? Or can Gabriele Tarquini, can he do it right at the death? Not win, unless, of course, if he gets the second place, they say, well, if he gets past second, will you let him through? I don't know whether that's likely. But here he is now. He's in the position to take him. But can Colciejo make himself so wide that he can keep Tarquini behind him? He will not want to give that place away. He has no desire to make it a Honda Accord 1-2 as they go past the car that's in the kitty litter there of Matt Neal. Yellow flags on that corner.
There's definitely some drizzle in the air there. You can just see some specks on the windscreen. I mean, this is a difficult situation for Tarquini, obviously, because he can't afford to make any mistakes to lose these points. But, you know, he's hungry to move forward through this field.
Where's he going to make his move? Is it just a question if he gets there, he's going to go for it straight away?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to make the move fairly soon anyway, because they're running out of laps. Exactly, so, you know, it's going to be either into the chicane or going into the pit
He's getting
corner.
a bit ragged there as the driver in front of him. He's having a look here now. It's Tarquini. Can Colciejo hold him? Yes, he's going to hold him at the moment, but he's going to line up below him, isn't he? He's going to come underneath him.
Yeah, he's going wide now. He's getting going into the corner deeper. No, he's going wide deeper. He's going to get the exit here. Yeah, I think he's got a run on him now for sure. Oh, he's got him.
I have to say that right the way throughout, my co-commentator Jamie Davis was almost squiggling on a piece of paper showing how that move would work, and I have to tell you, he was absolutely right, and so too was the man driving. Oh, yeah, but I mean, what if he spun off now? I mean, that would be an absolute disaster. They're coming up to the finish. Will we see a slowdown from Wallfish? I'm sure we won't now. Coming around this corner.
I think Wallfish is in for the win.
Wallfish is through. It's going to be a Honda Accord 1-2. Fair dues to Roberto Colciejo. He fought hard and finishes on the podium. Not a place where Fabrizio Giovanardi finishes. He finishes, I think, one place further back from there. And Larini, well, he may have won the first one, but Tarquini wins neither. Now, I think in a way, Tarquini might just be a bit disappointed. Wallfish won't be. He'll be delighted.
Sure, Honda are going to be, you know, they're going to be well chuffed for that one. I mean, a 1 and 2, it's a perfect weekend for them. But Tarquini, I'd imagine, is not going to be so happy. I mean, I'm sure he would have felt that he would have liked Wallfish to have moved over with him to help the championship.
Well, we're going to find out from Fabrice Wallfish what he thought in just a moment or three. But there, the man who won it, his teammate would have loved to, but he did it. His teammate has closed the gap again. And going into the last 4 races, the last 2 rounds, make a note, it's going to be racing you will not want to miss. So Wallfish from Tarquini, Colciejo, Giovanardi has to be satisfied with only 4th, Larini 5th, Gianluca De Lorenzi finishes the leading amateur in 6th place, Sardelli, Lancelotti, Caroli, Lampanen, who was running higher, finishes 10th, Bigoli 11th, Simon Zick finishes 12th, and after a great showing in the first of the races, Matt Neal non-finishes that. Well, Fabrice says the race was quite easy. I started by attacking Colciejo. The first time this season I had a good start. I think I understood what to do, so I started my attack. I saw I was in a good rhythm, but I could keep up with him without too much trouble. After I got the lead, I was never in a dangerous position. It turned out to be a very straightforward race. It was exactly what I wanted. Are you happy now? I'm extremely satisfied, very happy. I've won points for the team. It's my first ever victory. A long time since I've won a race. I nearly won in Formula 3000. After 3 years without a win, it's great. And congratulations to him. Now look at that points table. Giovanardi 493, only 7 points now ahead of Larini. But the important thing there, Tarquini now in a position to really challenge with 464. Wallfish with 402. But that means there's only somewhat 27 points between 1st and 3rd. And you've just been looking, Jamie Davis next to me, at the point scoring system. There's 40 points per race. Still, all right, you'd favour Giovanardi, but the way Tarquini is driving...
Yeah, I mean, there's still points up for grabs for sure, and the Honda does seem to be going well at the moment, so who's to know what's going to happen?
Well, there's the podium. And the two Honda, of course, Wolfish handled his car better than he handled his champagne, but we've got more to come. Exciting racing right after these. Well, welcome back to Super Racing Weekend. My name's Tony Delahunty. With me, Formula 3000 and the world sports car racer, Jamie Davis, who I think is thoroughly enjoying the action today. And we move on to the FIA Super Production Championship, where a man called Tommy Rustad is dominating, but he's going to hope he doesn't make the same sort of start as he made at the last round at the A1 ring. Do you remember?
I do, yeah. You know, you can't afford to be creeping, obviously, waiting for the green light to come on, so he's going to be a little bit cautious about that one today, I'd imagine, but, you know, the Nissan Primera is definitely performing well, and he's put that car in pole positioning again, and we'll see what happens to this one.
BMW's dominating this class. Duncan Huisman, he's on the front row as well. Then Peter Cox, who we'll see later in the FIA GT race. Norman Simon is up there as well, and the Edenbridge cars of James Hansen and Tom Ferrier starting a bit further back down the grid. But it looks like Rustad, well, we can't accuse him this time of creeping, but a very good start, very quick start, heading for the first corner. So the Norwegian driver, straight away with the Nissan Primera into the lead. We are riding with the man in second place, Duncan Huisman, the Dutch driver with the BMW, and talking of Dutch, double Dutch it is, because right behind him we have Peter Cox. So the BMW's in second and third. Norman Simon is up there as well. So that's a BMW, but it's a Nissan Primera at the front. And much like he did, though it was a jump of the start at the A1 ring, Rustad is getting away.
Yeah, that Nissan's definitely performing well at the moment, and Rustad, it obviously suits his driving style, and you know, they're making a good combination at the moment. The BMW dominate the field, but the Nissan is out in front.
Now this has been made a wet race. Now just explain the difference to us of a wet race being declared at the beginning and a race which starts when it's dry and suddenly becomes wet, as far as the competitors are concerned.
Yeah, well, basically when they call it a wet race from the beginning, it's because of the looming clouds in the sky, and there's a possibility that it could rain, so that they don't have to stop the race. If it was declared a dry race, then they wouldn't be able to. They would have to red flag it, basically, if it started to rain. Whereas when it's declared a wet race, they can start a race on slicks or wets. It decides what they want to do, but...
And if you make a mistake, it's your own fault.
Exactly.
And if you choose the right ones, well, you're laughing.
Exactly.
Rustad, has anything to do with tyres. I think it's just to do with the superiority of the combination of car and driver. And that Nissan Primera clearly getting away at the moment. Further back, both the Edenbridge cars. You've had a connection with Edenbridge, have you not?
Yeah, I've driven for Edenbridge back in the Formula 3000 days. Peter Briggs, team boss, runs a great team, and you know, the guys there, they always do a good job.
Gina Morbidelli in the fourth place. You can't keep a good Oldham down, can you? Formula 1 at one stage.
He was indeed, yeah.
Rustad, the man who still has the lead of the race. We are with Peter Cox. We'll see him later on Ferrari, in the Ferrari, which
that's right,
of course dominated in the last round. And that's it. Well, it's a pretty good shortcut across the circuit there, but slowed down a little bit by the kitty litter. Two Edenbridge cars are running fairly close together, but be it at the moment not really able to make an impression on the battle at the front. This man is the man at the front. And it's the Norwegian driver, Tommy Rustad. Bitterly disappointed at the last round, to be penalised, accepted that he had been creeping. And looking there, there's I think that's Gianna Morbidelli in fifth place at the moment, behind Norman Simon. And behind him, Paolo Roberto. Oh, they're getting a little bit closer now. I think that's deceptive from the camera angle that we have there. And in fact, Morbidelli has gone past Norman Simon. That is the leader. And the Nissan Primera, at the moment, dominating proceedings in this super production race. Number two rounds of the championship, 4 races still to go. Estoril and Jarama, as Gino Morbidelli has a look at Peter Cox. And our weather people, and there's computers working on the weather, it's very much similar in many ways to Formula One, as they pay lots of money in Formula One to predict the weather and won't tell you what it's going to be like from team to team. So they say we pay for that knowledge and we're keeping it to ourselves for our advantage. Well, I can tell you, we've nicked a word or 3, and Jamie Davis knows a person or 2, and it looks like rain, doesn't it?
It does indeed, yeah. I mean, it's the clouds are looking blacker and blacker, I can see, as they go down the pit straight, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see some rain coming out of the sky pretty soon.
Duncan Huisman trying very, very hard to get on terms with Tommy Rustad, but while he does that, he's got to be conscious that Peter Cox isn't too far behind, and Peter Cox needs no reminder, because there's a black and orange image firmly in his mirrors, and that's Gino Morbidelli. And Morbidelli would love to get onto the podium. Peter Cox would love to get onto the top step, but he's got to get past Duncan Huisman, and he's got to get past Tommy Rustad to do just that. And on the far side of the circuit, it is starting to spit just a little bit, but we've seen a lot of that. And the tyres, of course, warm. It doesn't matter if it's just spitting, does it?
It's not so bad now, especially with the saloon car compared to a single-seater. It doesn't really affect it so much. So, you know, it needs to be a substantial bit of rain on the ground, really, before it starts making a big difference.
So Peter Cox we're aboard with now. And if anything, Duncan Huisman starting to get a little bit away from him. So the gaps are starting to open up. And right at the front, it's still Tommy Rustad. And if anything, Cox has eased a couple of car lengths away from Gino Morbidelli. So it's Nissan Primera from BMW, from BMW, from BMW, from BMW.
Looked a little bit wetter actually then going into the chicane. I could just see a little bit of reflection coming off of the headlights of one of the BMWs. So there could be a possibility that there is some more rain coming down there.
I think your old Edenbridge mates having a right battle there a little bit further back. James Hansen, who was the quicker slightly in qualifying than Tom Ferrier, but they're having a battle further back, and they've got a few other people to contend with as well to try and climb up the grid.
See the reflection there coming off the lights. These conditions are so difficult to you know, to control with the car. You don't know what's going to happen the next time you go around the lap when you come to each corner. It could be wet, it could be dry. You've just got to take that gamble, hope that you don't go off.
The sort of thing you complain about is Spa, but, you know, the Nurburgring isn't a million miles away from Spa, is it?
Exactly. I mean, we've seen that over this weekend so far, that at one place on the circuit it can be wet, and then the other place it's still dry, so makes it very difficult to know exactly what to do.
Jamie, you ever been caught out there?
It does happen, yeah.
Have you ever been? No, of course, it wouldn't be admitted anyway, would it? Jamie Davis, my co-commentator. And that is Duncan Huisman, who is trying to get after Tommy Rustad, but Rustad seems to be very much in control at the moment. Of course, second and third place, very, very important, because Tommy Rustad hasn't had the best of point-scoring opportunities, and it's really Huisman and Cox who are in contention for the championship, isn't it? So maybe they're quite happy for Tommy Rustad to go and disappear and have a little play on his own at the front, but for Cox it'll be important that he gets past Duncan Huisman. So this is where the real race is for the championship, and Cox has got it to do. He's got to try and get on terms with Huisman.
Yeah, with regards to the championship, then they're going to be concentrating with each other, but I'm sure they're not going to be happy about the situation with Rustad pulling out into the lead. At the end of the day, they're race drivers, and every race driver wants to win, but at the moment it doesn't seem like they've got any answers for this Nissan.
Tommy Rustad with the fastest lap, just under 55, 154.942. And you know, his pits will be telling him what the gap is behind. He'll be happy just to keep that gap just about the same if he can ease it a couple of tenths. And we are riding now with Tommy Rustad. And for anyone that just might have joined us, you can ride too with the voice of Jamie Davis. Takes a little around the circuit.
Yeah, we can see there on the dash. It's just moved away, but on the onboard camera you could see the dash there, see what gear position he was going in there. It's just going down the back straight now, going through the flat right-hand corner, and then coming down, braking into the Vidal chicane. Just hard on the brakes here, about the 100-metre board. Just slowing the car down, very easy to lock a wheel there. Use plenty of the curb going over, and then just back on hard onto the power again, coming out, and then going into the pit corner. See him back down to second gear, going in here, and then hard on the power, trying to get the exit, leading onto the pit straight.
And you know, for anybody who's a sort of boy racer out there who goes rather stupidly sliding around roundabouts and goodness knows what else, can you just say a word or two about the limited amount of movement? It doesn't look like somebody trying to hang wallpaper in a wind, does it, inside the cockpit?
No, it's a little bit different to a road car. I mean, perhaps these cars have got a little bit more lock on them than the Super Touring cars, but the biggest problem when these chassis do tend to go sideways, there's only so much lock that you have, and then once you've gone past that situation, the car's going to spin. With a normal road car, you have a lot more lock which you can wind on and control the slide, but with these, once they go so far, you're off.
You don't want to be sliding too much in a normal road car. You'd never do that, would you?
Not at all.
Absolutely not. But I'm also referring to the fact, the smoothness of it all, as we now are on board with Peter Cox.
Yeah, I mean, you just need to be smooth with the car, really. You can't afford to make the car go sideways too much, because you're going to, every time the car goes sideways, it's scrubbing speed. So that's then going to make the exit of the corner, you know, very slow, and then you don't carry the speed onto the next straight, which ultimately is going to hurt the lap time.
It's raining less than 5 kilometres from the circuit, and that could change an awful lot of things. Again, we're on board with Peter Cox, his immediate target. He's in third place, is Duncan Huysman, and they're looking to try and move up another place is, well, our old Grand Prix racing hero, Gianna Morbidelli, always one of the nicest of guys. And we've got there Tom Perrier in sight for a moment, just about to make a move to move himself, I think, from 14th up to 13th place. But then again, that is Cox. Looks quite bright at the moment in places, but in other places quite dark.
Just makes very... Oh, he's got a spinner there. Obviously, it is getting greasy in places, but like we said earlier, some places are still dry, some places are getting slippery.
That's Stefano Gabellini, or Gabellini even. He's collecting some mud on his tyres as well. And the number 5 car, which is, of course, Gino Morbidelli. And Morbidelli having his own go at pressurising at the moment. Norman Simon is not too far away from that battle. And how does it all conclude? Well, we'll find out right after these. And I can tell you that rain that was threatening, it's no longer threatening, it's arrived. And now we've got Peter Cox. You can see it on his windscreen there. Already he's started to get nearer to Duncan Huysman. They've got the red and yellow flag to warn them there. Well, the windscreen is warning them enough anyway. Now, can Cox get a little bit nearer to Duncan Huysman? It's BMW to BMW, but right at the front, it's still Tommy Rustad that is leading. He's out of our picture at the moment, but 3 laps to go, and the rain is still coming down, quite slippy, I'm told, on the far side of the circuit. Some parts of the circuit, it isn't even raining, and that gets you into this lottery situation.
Yeah, I mean, at least on the dry bits, they're going to get some heat back into the tyres again, but...
There's some heat on here, and that is Cox, and he's having a real look there at Duncan Huysman, and you get the feeling there's not an awful lot that Duncan Huysman can do about it. Cox really asking the question now. Huysman tries to make himself very wide indeed. Cox trying to set himself up for the move. There's just 2.5 laps remaining. And all of a sudden, Huysman, who must have been feeling okay, I can't catch Tony Rustad at front, I can't catch Tommy Rustad, I've got second place. That is by no means certain, because Peter Cox is after it, and Cox is looking like that he might get it, unless Huysman can keep himself as wide as that. They've battled with each other throughout the season, clean and hard, but it is slippy out there. And it's also a question of, you know, I might gain a place, but I might lose 10.
It's a big problem. I mean, there's no doubt that this is the battle of the race. With these circuit conditions now as well, I mean, it's so easy to make a mistake. I mean, this part of the circuit now is by far wetter than on the other side, and, you know, so easy to lock a wheel now when you're coming into this, especially when you're trying to fight.
Cox looking, saying I'm coming, giving the perception of massive pressure there. Oh, there was a tap there. They're doing their best, both of them, and again Cox comes again to see if he can get down, but it's the inside line that's just held there. Oh, but he's gone very, very sideways indeed. But can he get the power back on Huysman? He leaves not a lot of room for Peter Cox, but Cox didn't need that much room because he's through. Huysman trying to get the power down again towards the end of the straight. It's not over yet, this battle, is it? And it looks as if he might get it back again. Can he hold on to it? Huysman, absolute battle royal. They don't touch per colour. I mean, you couldn't have got much paint in between the two of them. And that's Cox now again behind Huysman. Less than 2 laps remain. It's suddenly come into an absolute battle royal. And of course, there's people waiting behind them to see if this ends in tears. Huysman from Cox, BMW from BMW. If you're a Nissan Primera fan, don't worry. Tommy Rustad is at the front, but these two battling for vital points in the championship. Huysman still from Cox. Tight corner coming on the left-hand side. Cox trying to find and line himself up to slip below on the inside as they go outside that corner first of all. Now can he hold on to it? Cox there. Huysman, he's forced his way through. And whether Huysman can come back, I do not know. But Cox has got his way through into second place. Great battle.
Yeah, for sure. Not easy in these conditions at the moment. And Huysman there, you could see on the onboard camera when you were with Cox that Huysman's car is moving around a lot at the rear. He's got a lot of oversteer, and he's fighting that car all the way to the flag. Great
credit behind them too, I can tell you, for the leading under 25-year-old driver Norman Simon. With his BMW, the German is in 4th place. He's fought off, at least for the moment, Gianni Morbidelli.
Yeah, you can just hear then on the down change as he was going into that corner that as he's letting the clutch back out, it's trying to lock the back wheels up on the car. That's just purely because of the grip where it's now raining, and it's locking the back wheels and the juddering of the gearing.
But there's no problems right at the front for this man, Tommy Rustad, who will have only benefited from the battle between those in 2nd and 3rd place. And this is Peter Cox. He's got a job to do in the Ferrari that we will see later on in the programme. But at the moment, he's done his job on Duncan Huysman. But Huysman also is having a look. It's not over yet. Duncan Huysman clearly having a look, and he's got through. And now, can he hold it there? He has the inside. They're going past where they line up for the grid. Cox now tries down the other side. Oh, what classic stuff. And that is right the way down to the wire. And really, Cox and Huysman, it could have been one or the other there. And they're on to the last lap now. Huysman, has he got an answer to Cox? It looked like it was going to be Cox's race as far as the second place was concerned. But at the moment, Peter Cox has got that position. Duncan Huysman, we're on board with him. I'm pretty sure Eurosport bringing in the best of a real BMW battle. This Primera with Tommy Rustad still leads, but it's far from over in the important battle for second place.
Just looks to me that Cox has just got the rear of the car planted a little bit better than Huysman. Huysman's got a lot of oversteer, struggling to get the power down, and Cox's car is just looking that little bit more smoother, and I think maybe if he can make a little bit of a gap, he will be able to edge out.
On the very last lap, and Cox keeping it together. Huysman trying for all he's worth to see if he can get close enough to have a go, but it's really looking like he won't. I don't know. I said that. He was almost getting near enough to have a try.
I think that was deliberate then of Cox when he was running wide going into the corner. He's just running off of the racing line, which keeps it off of the rubber, and it gives the car more grip.
So Cox feeling that he's got it now. Huysman probably looking in his mirrors as well and saying, okay, you can win this little battle for 2nd to 3rd spot, which might turn out to be a very big battle in the point saga. But the war isn't over. We've got 4 more races to do it. And all 4 of those shown on British Eurosport. And they're to come. But wonder if anyone can best this man. Tommy Rustad, not really in the line of looking for the championship at the moment, but certainly looking to reach the top of the podium after it was denied him, having been judged, and we say he definitely did, of jumping the start at the A1 ring. That, I think, was James Hansen that was off, and there was a battle between James Hansen and Tom Ferrier on a little earlier, and I think that puts young Tom Ferrier into the top dozen with the Edenbridge car. Rustad takes the checkered flag, and let's keep our eyes, it's a little way back from Tommy Rustad's Nissan Primera, to see who is going to have the 2nd spot. Fairly certain it's going to be Peter Cox.
I think it's Peter Cox.
Yes, it is. And Duncan Huysman deciding, well, a battle for all I was worth. Maybe Cox's car was handling that a little bit better.
I think it was a little bit. He seemed to just have that little bit more traction when the rain started to come down, which gave him the advantage. But a great race between the two. Kept it clean, and Cox got the result.
So Tommy Rustad winning it. Cox got the result he wanted, 2nd place. He probably wanted 1st, but 2nd place when he beat Duncan Huysman will certainly do his chances of winning the championship. Absolutely no harm at all. We'll hear from Tommy Rustad in a minute, and we'll also hear from Peter Cox. But are we going to have a wet GT race?
I think it's going to be an interesting one, looking at this weather now.
Jamie Campbell-Walter's got to try from, the 10th row of the grid.
I think with a 3-hour race with these conditions, it's not really a problem. Anything can happen.
It will, and you'll see it on British Eurosport. Here's the man who won it, Tommy Rustad. We'll hear from Tommy in just a moment. He must be absolutely delighted. And Peter Cox, who we saw having a great battle with Duncan Huysman, will bring you his words also. You're with British Eurosport, and don't forget, GT racing still to come. There's Rustad, from Cox, from Huysman, from Simon, from Morbidelli, from Massini. Here's some Primera. Right at the top of the page. And Tommy Rustad got the result he wanted at the A1 ring. Just had to wait an extra fortnight. Tom Ferrier, as I said, finishing in 12th place with the Edenbridge car. James Hansen, unfortunately, not finishing.
Tommy, changes were made to the Primera after Budapest, and we saw glimpses of potential 2 weeks ago, but today you really showed what the car's capable of.
Yeah, I think we deserve it today. We have been developing the car all year, so we had also this engine in Budapest, but it was not so good as it is now. So we have been working hard. The team, RJ and Motorsport, have been developing the car with Nissan, so the engine is strong, the car and chassis is excellent. So I'm really happy.
Thank you, Tommy.
Simon Wolster, our reporter in the pit road for British Eurosport. And he's going to have a word now with Peter Cox.
Peter, that was another battle that we saw towards the end of the race there with Duncan. That's an important victory over Duncan for you in terms of the championship.
Yes, for me it's fantastic. I mean, it's like a victory. I think Tommy at the moment is in a league of his own with the car. I mean, his car is very fast, and I'm not racing, with all respect, against him for the championship against Duncan. And I must say, today he drove really fair. I mean, we maybe hit a little bit, but this is how it should be in touring cars. And I make a compliment now to him, because I think this is how it should be, you know, and not like it was in the past. So, but I'm really happy, obviously, because it's the best race of the year for me, so I'm really happy.
So Huysman with 114. Cox closes the gap to 7 points. It's going to be very close. Don't miss those last 4 races. If you like GT racing, you're going to love what comes up next. It's going to be an absolute battle royal. Remember, the Lister Storm of Jamie Campbell-Walter didn't get into the shootout. It starts on the 10th row of the grid. GT racing coming up in just a moment.
The FIA GT Championship in Eurosport's Super Racing Weekend. With Lease Plan, Fleet Management in Motion. Filatice, stretching fibers, fabrics and yarns.
Yokohama, power of performance.
They only started building the Ferrari 550 Maranello at Pro Drive on January the 2nd. Already it's won a race. Let's hear from one of the drivers, Rickard Rydell.
Rickard, we've got terrible weather conditions here in Germany for the start of the race. You haven't been able to do very much testing in the Ferrari. Have you been able to do any at all in wet conditions?
Yeah, we had one session on Friday which was wet, so I think that should be enough. The car is quite good, but it's always going to be difficult in these circumstances, so we'll see how it goes.
Thank you, Rickard.
And with me, Jamie Davis. It was a really odd qualifying session, which left out of the Super Pole after at one stage they'd been the quickest before an all yellow flag situation developed. Campbell Walter having to start down on the 10th row of the grid. Let's have a look earlier on. You can see Rydell and the Cox there with a Ferrari on the front row. The two Bleekemolen's, there's three Bleekemolen's of course, because with Mike Hasemans on the second row is Jeroen Bleekemolen, the youngest of the Bleekemolen family. We can look at Julian Bailey, really lost out in the shootout, lost out at the Vidal chicane, modified not by intention there. And we can see Robert Liddell, who was on pole really for the NGT, and well, in fact it was Stefan Ortelli's first pole. The grid stretching right back. We can see Paul Knapfield in another of those many Porsche 996s. But a big job here for Jamie Campbell-Walter to do, his teammate in the other Lister Storm, Julian Bailey, starting on the third row. But is it going to be another Ferrari dominance?
Well, I mean, I don't really know. It's going to be certainly difficult for Jamie Campbell-Walter. I mean, starting where he is on the grid, certainly with these conditions, it's not the ideal place to be going into that first corner when you've got all of the spray. But you know, it's a 3-hour race. Ultimately, he needs to try and keep it on the road for the first couple of laps when there's a lot of things happening, and then let it settle down and try and move forward.
Tom Coronel not here, a new man in the place, Mike Jordan. You know much of he?
Not really, no. I've not come across him in any of my racing before, so you know, we need to keep an eye out for him and see how he performs.
I have. He's mega quick. He was brilliant in TVRs. He's been doing extremely well in GT racing, right at the top of the pack in the Privilege Insurance British GT Championship. He will not be in any way out of his depth. In case it rains, unless it rains a great deal heavier, and they all are. Not the best of conditions.
It's not ideal for sure. Not really what you want to be, but when you're sat on the front row like that, it's a clear road ahead and no spray, so that's the best place to be.
Sebastian Bleekemolen has had a problem. There's the Lamborghini. That's got a problem as well. Now, I don't know what the problem has been for Sebastian Bleekemolen, but we've got a...
Gosh.
He was sliding on the far side.
Tried to get on the power too soon.
And thanks again. That isn't. That wasn't the race actually started.
No.
The race hadn't started. It has now. It has now. Oh, thanks for our second camera crew there. Brilliantly directed to catch that. You'd have to happen to replay it back, but that was absolutely brilliant. As too was not a bad start from Ricard Rydell, but there's not a bad start from the second row, and that's Hasemans who's got the Viper through. So it's the Ferrari in between two Vipers at the moment, and it's Hasemans who has gone into the lead, the car that he will share later with Jeroen Bleekemolen, who's already at the age of 19 stood on the top of a podium. But that Ferrari has lost out clearly there, and he's going to move into third place. He's going to go quite wide. Can he hold on to it? No, he can hold on to it there. Second place it stays. But he's being challenged by the Chiro car of the champions already. And the man in there at the moment is Christophe Buchu. And Buchu, having a look at the Ferrari, goes down the inside of him and does that with some consummate ease. Jamie Davis.
I mean, it's difficult to say early on, but you know, I'm not really sure what kind of setup they've gone for with the Ferrari. Maybe they've gone for more of a dry setup, and you know, they're maybe looking at the Weber is going to dry it later on and see if they can perform then. But at the moment, it doesn't look like they've got the speed.
Well, what about Sebastian Bleekemolen? I mean, that is not the thing that you'd want to happen at the beginning of a race, or at any time during it.
That was just incredible. I mean, it looked to me that Ricard had the inside coming out of the corner when they were winding up to go to the start line. And when you're on the inside there, you're off of the rubber, so you've got more grip. So I think Ricard was able to get on the power slightly sooner. Bleekemolen being on the outside was on the actual rubber, which is like ice, and got on the power, and the car just broke away straight away and then into the wall.
Well, there you can see Hasemans, who's the leader, from Ricard Rydell, who is in third place at the moment. Buchu in second. Julian Bailey with the Lister Storm has moved up to fourth. Jean-Pierre Jallier in fifth. Luca Riccatelli in the leading the championship car in NGT in a .6 place at the moment. And I can tell you further back, Jamie Campbell-Walter is on a mission.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that NGT, the car there, sometimes when you have actually less power, when you're on a very slippery, greasy circuit, which this Nurburgring tends to be when it rains, you know, sometimes that can actually help you, and you've got easier to get the power down coming out of the corners. It's not such an animal to drive, and you know, it's showing.
Well, there's something that is perhaps a little bit more of an animal to drive. Beautiful car it might be. It's that of Müller and Trunk, and it's the Lamborghini. Not yet really beginning to show the way they'd love it to show. I'll tell you that the weather conditions are absolutely appalling, and it's the 12th car of the Paul Belmondo racing team that goes through there. Paul Belmondo Racing, of course, excluded from the shootout. Their number 11 car was.
Here we go, we've got a replay of the start.
Well, just before the start.
Well, I think they're actually coming down to the start line now to take the green flag, and he's just tried to get on the gas too soon and just lost the rear.
And he was pretty far out on this side of the circuit, wasn't he? And there with third place Ferrari of Ricardo Rydell. And you get an idea of the amount of spray. It's early doors in the race, of course. And you don't want to do Sebastian Bleekemolen, do you?
Not really, no. The goal is obviously to finish the race. You need to be there at the end, but you need to get a move on as well, because if these guys start edging out a lead, then it's got his work to do later on.
Well, he's doing very well at the moment. Is this man at the front, and the Shadow car, the Labra car in second place. Pichou, of course, with Jean-Philippe have already won the championship. They can't be outscored in the points. Ricardo Rydell ahead of Julian Bailey, and not very far ahead of Julian Bailey. Jarriere, that in the darkness there you might have thought that Campbell Walter was through to fifth. He isn't, of course. That is Jean-Pierre Jarriere, and another of the Vipers. And we said that earlier that the Ferrari perhaps could be the new dominant force. It's got to really prove that yet. It's maybe have more room for development on it than perhaps on the Vipers or the Lister Storm.
Yeah, I mean, the Ferrari, it's early days. Performed incredibly well at the A1 ring, and obviously in qualifying for this race as well. Putting it on pole, they could have asked for more, but at the moment they're in third position. But this is unknown territory again for them, other than the test day on the Friday in the wet. You know, they have had very limited testing with that, so they're learning all of the time, and I can see the car just getting stronger and stronger.
It's stopped actually raining at the moment.
You can see actually a little bit of a dry line there.
Yeah, that dry line developing. Also the times coming down. We saw Hagemans, who's in the lead with the fastest lap. Of course, he hasn't got a problem at the moment because he hasn't got anybody right in front of him. But let's find out what happened with Sebastian Bleekemolen.
Sebastian, we saw the slide just at the beginning of the race there. Was that just because there was too much water on the track?
Yeah, there's a lot of water on the track, and at the outside of the corner, which there's a lot of rubber on the outside. And I pushed my throttle just a little bit, and I spun directly. But it was my own mistake, so the race is over now because the radiator is broke. All the water is coming out.
Thank you. Simon Walster getting the news as soon as it was available from Sebastian Bleekemolen. Didn't look that embarrassed, did he? Would you have been?
Probably a little bit, yeah. It's not the ideal situation to crash before the start, but you know, with these conditions, it can catch you out sometimes.
In fairness, he's not a man who makes very many mistakes.
No, exactly.
And 57 in the NGT class is Stefano Telli, who put that in pole for the first time. The NGT car he's put in pole. And there's the Labra NGT car just behind him. Battles raging up and down the field, and these conditions very difficult. As I said to you a few minutes ago, it stopped raining, all of a sudden it's absolutely pouring down again.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing they're going to be thinking about now is when their pit stop windows are going to be coming up as well, and you know, how this track is, if it's drying very quickly. They need to be keeping an eye on that, because it's going to be a tyre situation when it's coming to the pit stops on whether they go for an intermediate or maybe a slick, or whether they stay with the wets. I mean, it's difficult to say at the moment, but there's going to be some things up in the air for sure.
Well, Telly may have pole. We change ride for the moment. We're now with Philip Peter, who shares the car with Werner, who's his Porsche Cup partner, Porsche Super Cup partner. And Werner knows the circuit very, very well indeed, which will undoubtedly be an advantage. What sort of messages, when you've got this sort of business of rain, drying line, etc., is passing between driver and pit crew, Jamie Davis?
Really, it's just concentration when you're in the cockpit. You need to be concentrating on what you're doing. The pit crews will be monitoring lap times to see what other people are doing. At the moment, I'd imagine everybody's still going to be on the wet tyre, so you know, they're all going to be doing the muchness to lap times. But if somebody comes in and makes a change, that's when the teams are really going to monitor to see what times they can produce if they've gone to a different tyre, and then decide when they need to come in.
57, 58, having a little battle there, but it's 57 that goes through. And right at the front, the gap now between Haysmans and Bouchou, 6.794 after 5 laps. On the top 6 board appears Jamie Campbell-Walter.
Moving up through nicely, 25 seconds off of the lead, but with a 3-hour race, it's not totally out of the question that he can pull that back.
NGT having their own battle, Luca Riccatelli, but we saw Riccatelli leading with ease at the A1 ring, eventual retirement there. Ortelli in second spot, Dumes in third spot, and I'll tell you who is coming through very quickly. It's the Yorkshireman, Sugden. I think he's up at the moment into 5th place in NGT. Missed out on the shootout, although at one stage he too was up in provisional pole position in a very odd practice session with that all yellow situation, and beached. Well, that's Jochen Berger. I don't know whether they'll get that out of there, because the front wheels are actually on the grass as the Lister Storm goes through. Back aboard we go with Stefan Ortelli, currently in 2nd place in NGT. And it is starting to dry a little bit. You said the dry line, again the rain for the moment has stopped, evidence of that in the windscreen wipers aren't going. He's got a clear track, of course. If he gets amongst cars again, that wiper will have to go.
Yeah, I mean, the circuit at the moment is still far too wet to be changing tyres. In fact, it goes through a stage normally where it starts to get quite greasy, and it's actually slipperier then than it is when it's full wet sometimes. So you need to be very careful there. You need to time the situation well for when you're going to change the tyres, and at the moment it's not that situation.
And when you think you should change them, then you never know whether the weather would change. There is Werner, who's currently in 19th place in an NGT car. Shares that car with Philip Peter. And again, the wipers having to go, but more because of spray than anything else. Porsche GT2 car going through, but Haysmans has clawed out another few tenths to Bouchou. Look at the gap to Jamie Campbell-Walter from the leader now, 24.2 seconds, and there's 13 seconds between him and his teammate Julian Bailey, who's in 4th spot.
The lap time's definitely coming down. He's pulled out a second on the leader on that lap, so if he can keep doing that, it's not going to be long before he's knocking on the door of the other guys up front.
And the Ferrari at the moment, thoughts on that? I mean, we heard the interview on the grid when Simon was talking to Ricard Rydell there, and he was saying he was happy with the car in wet or in the dry at the moment. I don't think he'd be that happy with it.
No, I mean, it's difficult to call. Very difficult to know what the situation is with their setup on the car, but just doesn't seem to have the speed at the moment. Looked good in qualifying. Ricard sounded very confident in wet or dry conditions, but at the moment he's proven that the Vipers are quicker.
And once again on board we are with the NGT car. A whole clutch of Porsche 996 GT3Rs, been very much the revelation of cars appearing in GT, and of course in Great Britain, and in the Porsche Cup in Great Britain as well, where there's been some very exciting GT cars racing inside that Porsche Cup GT3s. They're the Labra car, but it's Ricard Rydell who has just set the fastest lap. We just said he was unhappy. He proves us wrong. He's getting happier all the time, but happier as it's becoming more of a drier line.
Yeah, exactly. It could have been what I said earlier, you know, maybe they have gone for more of a dry setup, so ultimately when they started the race in the rain, they didn't have the speed there, but as the track's drying, then possibly they could start moving forwards. I mean, we can't say yet, but it could well be that.
Well, it looks like at any time now, the Labra car is going to be demoted a place. Christophe Bouchou, happy with his points tally that gives him the FIA Championship, but perhaps not so happy that Ricard Rydell is hunting him down at the moment. Julian Bailey behind Rydell in 4th spot. Not too far behind Julian Bailey is his teammate Jamie Campbell-Walter. Julian Bailey shares the car with Nicholas Springer, German driver. Jamie Campbell-Walter has a man who will be very hot to trot
still very greasy there.
Mike Jordan to be with him.
Still very greasy there at the moment, but you can see the slight dry line approaching, but this is going to make it very difficult for Rydell to make the move, because when you're driving on the dry line, to move off of the dry line onto the wet patch to actually go up the inside just makes it almost impossible.
There was a yellow flag waving there. I'm not sure who's actually off at the moment, but while Rydell is being held up, it's allowing Julian Bailey perhaps to get a little bit closer. The pit crew giving him the signal there. I'm going to come on to that Newcastle United sponsorship in a moment, so stand by, Jamie Davis, as Rydell has gone through. Now, I know your ambition is still to reach Formula One. There's a new sort of Formula One being talked about with cars representing football clubs. You have a bit of a problem now. Which is your football club?
I support Man United.
You support Yeovil Town. You told me before we started commentating. How can Yeovil Town have a team in Formula One?
I just thought I'd like to confuse you, Tony.
Well, no confusion about the man now back into second spot. Of course, he was in pole position. That's Ricard Rydell with the Ferrari 550 Maranello. Pro Drive based in Banbury. Started work on that car January the 2nd. In 18 weeks, they had a victory.
That's incredible. But, you know, the Pro Drive guys, they're doing a great job. They know exactly how to produce the goods out of the car. It's a great base to start with anyway, right from the beginning. And the development which they've done, it's just making it better and better every race.
And Julian Bailey wanting to better himself as well with the Lister Storm. And Christophe Bouchou has got a black cloud hanging over him.
I think Julian Bailey...
not just the one that's in the sky.
I think Julian Bailey would be happier that the circuit's starting to dry out, because I don't think he likes the rain too much.
Well, he's gone through there liking the rain or not liking the rain, and now he has moved up to third spot. And it looks like Christophe Bouchou maybe, you know, I've won the championship, maybe, you know, just take it a little bit easier.
For sure. He's got nothing to prove now at the end of the day. He's taken the title. They're out there. They still obviously want to score points. As a racing driver, he's still going to want to win the race, but he's not prepared to take any risks. There's no need to at the moment, you know. We'll just see how this race develops. It's still up in the air at the moment with the weather conditions, so anything can happen.
And they're coming up on the Lamborghini. And there we have another look again at Julian Bailey, finding his way through into third place.
Nothing that Bouchou could do about that one.
I'm getting rather mixed signals on what the weather's likely to be like in the next few laps. The circuit looking like it might be drying up a little bit. Another report's coming that we're likely to have a storm. What if it's a Lister storm from Jamie Campbell-Walter? He's in 6th place. Or can Bailey get further forward? You'll find out after these. And we have a new leader in the FIA GT Championship at the Nurburgring. His name, Ricard Rydell. Well, he may not have made the best of starts in this race, but he's certainly made up for it now. And Rydell leading from Haysmans. Haysmans in 2nd place from Bailey in 3rd place. And this is really the difficult bit, isn't it? I mean, I know you've competed at Le Mans and that sort of place. When you come up on the classes of car that are considerably slower, that are having their own battles, I mean, it is difficult. There's all sorts of things that can happen.
Yeah, it's difficult. Oh, we got a pit stop here, one of the Lister Storms.
I think that's Julian Bailey in. Now, he's going on to slicks tyres. It has been, that drying line has been coming. We mentioned a few minutes ago, though, that we're told there could be a storm. There's Micatelli, the NGT leader, who I think is also heading for the pits and also coming for slick tyres.
This is always a big problem, you know. They've got to come in, do the fuel stops now. Possibly make the driver change. They've now got a dry line, so they're deciding to go with with the dry tyres. But you know, with those clouds looming up ahead, anything can happen. It could start raining again. It might not, but it's always a gamble.
Well, obviously, slick tyres the right ones for the moment, as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, you have to go with how the circuit is at that time. You know, if there's a dry line going, then you have to go with that.
Well, the Labra competition car comes in. Christophe Bouchou, I think they're going to change drivers. Yes, they are changing drivers. So when they go out, they will be on slicks as well. But meanwhile, at the front, it's still the Ferrari that leads as Julian Bailey, now slick mounted, comes out of the pit. Still a fair amount of spray there, fair amount of rain.
Yeah.
And very much, if you're on wets at the moment, you have to look a little bit to get away from the dry line to cool those tyres?
Exactly, yeah, you need to cool the tyres down for sure. And going back, Tony, to the other point you made about with the other types of different car when you're having to pass the traffic and whatever, it's always very difficult, and certainly with these situations now as well, with the dry line and wet off of the line, it makes it even more difficult to pass the slower cars, because even they can brake later than you when they're on the dry and you're on the wet.
Well, confirmation that Jean-Philippe Belloc is in fact in the Labra competition car that's out. And here, Rydell now leads from Haismans by almost 3.7 seconds. Haismans just behind the Lamborghini. Bailey in third spot. And I think we might find that his teammate, Jamie Campbell-Walter, is in fourth spot. Only one of the Team Car Sport Holland cars running, if you've just joined us. And that is going into the pits again, I think, to change the tyres again. Obviously, Jean-Philippe Belloc went out on slicks. Part of the circuit, I'm told, it's raining again.
He's gone, yeah.
He's found it, you know, a bit of a problem.
He's obviously decided that it was the wrong choice. They've gone with a slick tyre, but there's obviously somewhere on the circuit at the moment which is causing him problems, and he's decided to make the change back to wet, possibly.
Rydell driving extremely smoothly at the moment, no particular problems for him.
You need to be driving smooth in these conditions now, because the wet tyres will go off incredibly quickly. They'll just start overheating, start chunking, and you'll have big vibrations, and the car will be moving around all over the place in no time.
Well, from our lap scoring, we have it as Rydell, Haismans, Bailey, Campbell-Walter. Jean-Philippe Belloc will have lost something there. Here's another. Now, are slick tyres going on here?
Yes, they are.
They are indeed, and that is the 75 car, which is Jürgen Alsen and Wolf Hensler, another of the 996s.
You could just see some spots of rain on the camera lens then, actually.
Yeah, and yet the fastest lap so far of the race comes in from Jean-Pierre Janier.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, there's still a dry line at the moment, but if it does start to spit raining again, then it's going to take maybe 1 or 2 laps, but it's for sure going to get damp and wet again.
Now, these stops, nothing like the Formula One stops. They're limited the number of people that they can use around the car, and the fuel, if there's fuel going in, has got to go in before they can touch the tyres.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they'll come in to start with, they'll do the refueling. You can do the driver change at the same time. Then once the refueling's finished, the guys can then go about doing the tyre change, just one mechanic per side of the car.
And that's the Porsche GT2 car in the background there. That in the front is the Ferrari with Ricard Rydell. And they're getting ready in the Lister Storm pit.
You know, measuring the churn there, just checking that they've got the right amount of fuel on board.
Apologies to Yeovil Town, by the way, for people who, you know, may actually think that you would represent them in Formula One or whatever.
Of course I watch Yeovil Town play. They do a good job.
And you watch that rain coming down now, and they're evidence of it. So,
oh, we got somebody off here.
Sideways and flying. That, I think, was the Porsche 996 of Jürgen Elson Motorsport. It's been off once already. It's been off twice now.
It's the problem I was saying earlier. With conditions like this, you just don't know what's around the next corner. The lap before, probably that corner was dry, then you come to the corner of the lap later and off you go.
David Terrien there, not making the same impression as he eventually did at the A1 ring, missed the shootout, and Porsche is again dominant in NGT.
Yeah, it's a shame that the Ferrari's not so successful this weekend, but you know, they've still got time. They can keep working on the car, and I think in the end it will be an improvement.
Rydell, Haismans, Campbell-Walter now in third place, and I can tell you why. Julian Bailey has gone back into the pits. He will be changing back to the wet tyres. Those that went to the slicks, well, they weren't to know, but it was a mess.
No, you have to go with the circuit as it was at that situation, but really it does come down to luck. The guys who can just stretch out the fuel mileage that little bit longer, when they come in now to make their fuel stop, they can go straight to wet tyres. But you know, having gone to slicks and then coming back into wet tyres, that makes it incredibly frustrating.
My feeling is that Julian Bailey will make the driver change now. The Lister Storm team will make the driver change. Nicholas Springer will come into the car. Can't keep on doing that, stopping and not take the opportunity to change driver as well. Otherwise, it's just another stop, and it just becomes... Yes, it is Nicholas Springer that has gone out there, and Julian Bailey must be, well,
Well, it
He's a
started raining again. He doesn't want to be in there in the wet.
Well, I regard that as, I know the man personally. I'm sure he's, yeah, nobody likes it in the rain. Everybody said, oh, I like it in the rain. It's just mainly trying to psych themselves up and make everybody feel as if, you know, they're Superman. I don't think anybody likes it in the rain.
I was just having a bit of fun there because I was talking to Julian at the end of Le Mans, and I know he wasn't very happy about that situation because it really did rain there.
I'll tell you who else has suffered. It's the Red Bull car that was leading the GTN Championship of Luca Riccatelli. He's got, he's onto the slick tyres. Trouble with that once you have it start to rain again. It's clearly a wrong choice, and you've got to get them changed. But no such problems at the moment for Ricard Rydell.
I mean, this circuit now is back almost to how it was at the beginning of the race.
Well, he has got a problem because he's got Hazemans close up on him. Hazemans is going to go through. Rydell drops that back down the inside. Hazemans will have it out of here, will he? Oh, he's got him. He make it stick because they will come round here fairly tightly with Hazemans. Although, no, I mean, Rydell did very well there.
I was just going to say,
that was a little bit of a, you know, a bit of a dance, wasn't it? He could have played the bolero music.
Yeah,
but Rydell who holds out for Hazemans, and in third place, remember, coming up from 20th, is Jamie Campbell-Walter. So the Lister Storm coming through one, literally. Rydell from Hazemans, from Jamie Campbell-Walter. Which way is it going to go? The only way you find out, stay with us. Back in just a second. And back at the Nurburgring, conditions not improving an awful lot, but I can tell you just going down the pit road there as Hazemans has got, in fact, the move by Jamie Campbell-Walter when he was in third place to take Hazemans, who was in second, has also given him the lead because you saw diving into the pit there the Ferrari of Ricard Rydell. So Campbell-Walter from some 20th on the grid to first, and Hazemans fighting back. Well, great credit to the Car Sport Holland driver. And Jamie Campbell-Walter may have got from 20th to first, but he's now back in second. And, well, not for very long.
No, I'm sure at the moment he can live with that. He's back there again now, and, you know, that's a great job starting from where he did. I think the weather's helped out a little bit, but, you know, he's kept the race clean, really, not made any mistakes at the moment, and he's found himself leading it.
Well, there'll be a change in the pits because I can tell you that Peter Cox, who you've already seen in this programme, with an excellent race in the super production cars, is going to take over from Ricard Rydell. But up at the front now, the new leader, Jamie Campbell-Walter, who's sharing that car with Mike Jordan. And I'll tell you, Mike Jordan is going to make quite an impression too. 2 ex-TBR Tuscan racers. And there's the move again by Jamie Campbell-Walter. They won the FIA Championship in Campbell-Walter last year. But not this year. That's the property of Christophe Boucher.
Ferrari exiting the pit lane. Probably
with Peter Cox aboard. Yes. With Peter Cox aboard. And then it still is a lottery. We've got a fair while to go in the race. And again, we have differing rumours coming from the various teams as to what the weather is likely to do over the remainder of the race.
It's a gamble. Who knows what the weather's going to do? I mean, with those clouds looming in the air, it can rain, it can dry.
And sure, this is at the Nurburgring and not in England.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Hazemans goes into the pit road. And we will be getting another look at who is where on this track, but I can tell you very safely that Jamie Campbell-Walter is in the lead. So Mike Jordan and Campbell-Walter. Nicholas Springer in the other car.
Just see there that Jamie Campbell-Walter having to be very careful on the throttle exiting the Castro S's. Just being very, very gentle because the rear of the car is trying to step out all the time.
And I can tell you that Jamie Campbell-Walter may also have been told as well that this car, for some reason, when it first stopped in the pits, you're on Bleekemolen, it looked as if it was actually going into the wrong pit. There was some confusion in there, so they could have lost more time as well. Nicholas Springer is in the other Lister, but this is the car that is leading the race. Meanwhile, in NGT, some real battles going on there. The 52 car is that of the MK Racing entry, Tim Sugden. And Sugden, in his own battle, looking for 4th place in NGT at the moment. You see the remaining time on the race to run there. That's Pompidou, Xavier Pompidou, with one of the 2 Freisinger Motorsport entries. The Yorkshireman has the best of it at the moment. Well, that guy's had the best of nothing. That's the 3rd time he's been up on the beach. It's the German driver Thomas Koch, and the word up comes into mind. Haysman's, or should we say Jeroen Bleekemolen, now out of the pits, having lost a little bit of time. Luca Riccatelli has lost a lot of time, so this man may fancy his chances. He had the pole position in the NGT class. First pole position he's had in that class, Stefano Telli. Riccatelli, the misfortune. He's had misfortune for 2 races in succession. And we're back again with the Lister Storm pit. And this will be Mike Jordan.
Yeah.
So you don't know a lot about him.
No.
You're about to find out.
That's good. Be interested to see.
He's a pretty darn good driver. Good engineer as well. Great pedigree. Both Campbell Walter and Mike Jordan come from. Wouldn't be at all surprised to see Mike Jordan in more FIA GT.
Yeah.
Jeroen Bleekemolen, the youngest driver in the race, 19 years of age. There were 3 Bleekemolens. There's only one left in.
Exactly, yeah.
Sebastian ended it for he and Michael.
Before the race started.
You couldn't call this Formula Bleekemolen almost. More rain forecast for later. Haysman, you see that? It's getting quite tricky there, isn't it?
The circuit is just so slippery when it's wet. It's a lot more greasy than most other circuits. I don't know why, but just going down into that chicane, it's like breaking on ice all the time.
The 2 listers together ahead of the Ferrari. Peter Cox is in the Ferrari. Now Nicholas Springer, gentleman driver, obviously learning more all the time. Mike Jordan, sadly, is a gentleman, but you know, he's a professional driver as well.
There's a dry line appearing again here on this particular part of the circuit again now.
Yeah, they go past Tim Sugden, there's the Ferrari. And it's going to be with interest. We see how Mike Jordan goes on. There's Jeroen Bleekemolen again with the Chrysler Viper GTSR. '69. That's Marco Werner. That's the 11 Paul Belmondo car. That car, by the way, because of the wrong wrong amount of ground clearance, missed out on Superpole, which let Haysman's in, which let him go up to 3rd place, which let him eventually lead the GT race for some time. He doesn't lead it now, of course, but I mean, he was thinking he was going to be down among the dead men, wasn't he?
Yeah, and that was a great result for him, obviously, to make into the 6th for the qualifying, and that's helping him a lot. Kept him out of trouble for the beginning part of the race.
I'm keeping an eye on NGT as well at the moment, and Luca Riccatelli, well, there doesn't seem to be very much that he can do. He's a long way back now.
Biggest problem with this now, again, you can see that they're having to cool the tyres down again, and it's what are they going to do with the pit stops? Do they wait for the refueling to change the tyres? Do they go to a slick tyre? Do they go to an intermediate? Or is it going to start raining again? I mean, it's just such a tricky call.
I should tell you also that Stefano Telli has the very fast rising Robin Liddell, British driver, with him. A good pairing they are. Be interesting to see whether they can actually win the NGT class. But at the moment, I think it's Philippe Peter who has the lead in that. And we're there with Thierry Perrier, who's taken over from Michael Newgarden. Newgarden was in the Superpole shootout, drying quickly as I speak.
It is, yeah. It's again, like we've been saying all along, though. It's drying in certain parts of the circuit, and it's still wet in other places. So it's just so tricky out there to know exactly which way to go, but I'd imagine at the moment it's going to be going back to near slicks again in the near future.
Absolute team manager's nightmare. When you can't, you can win, but if you win, it's almost by luck.
Yeah, it is in a way, yeah. I mean, you can make a bad call just as easy as you can make a good call, you know. I mean, you can go with a situation and try and do the slicks like they've done earlier, and then suddenly it rains about 5 minutes later. I mean, that is just pure bad luck.
I can tell you that they're the Belmondo Racing car number 11 going into the pits there. That has actually held the lead. In the pit changing, that car has held the lead, but it's a lead now that goes back to the Lister Storm. Mike Jordan aboard that.
See the pit board as he pulled in, lights off, engine off, regulations.
So Anthony Company, well, they say the leader in the pits. You could have put another word in front of it, was.
Exactly, yeah. Well, I mean, we're all going to make pit stops.
Absolutely. Joe, but a good race so far for the Paul Belmondo Racing team. Sight of David Terrian not going anything like as quick as he should. Sight there of Jordan, Mike Jordan. So runs his own racing team in Great Britain, which has gone very well in the Porsche Cup. But still, those that work on what's going to happen with the weather tell us uncertainty for the remainder of the race. Paul Belmondo Racing just about to leave the pit road again. So Mike Jordan for the moment with the lead, but the Ferrari is still involved. Can Jeroen Bleekemolen get the Viper going quicker and get on the case? You'll all find out right after these. Well, the weather changing yet again. Well, in the Ferrari pit, they are hoping for something, but we have to show you a situation of crossing the white line, and that is going to mean Jamie Davis.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do that. I mean, have we seen before in a couple of Formula 1 races this year? You go over the pit line on the exit, and that to me is going to be a stop go.
New leader, and that's Haysmans. Jordan up there as well. Jordan looking to get past Haysmans. The Lamborghini in the middle of all that. That is, in fact, it's not Jordan. They've changed driver while we have been away, and that, in fact, is Jamie Campbell-Walter. Well, did he make a mistake?
I'm not so sure.
Or did he inherit somebody else's spin?
I think maybe he just tried too soon to take the lead. He was at the inside, going down into the corner, then realised he wasn't going to make it, got onto the brakes, but the back marker just turned in, and they touched, I think.
Well, Jamie Campbell-Walter has got it to do again. Haysmans has the lead, and my stopwatch tells me as he gets going there's about 16 seconds that he's got to try and claw back. Got just on the hour to be able to do it. Mike Jordan had done a good job in the middle of it. He had pitted, Campbell-Walter taken over, but we've moved on, and now we see Jamie Campbell-Walter trying to win the motor race. The Ferrari out of it, really.
Yeah, I mean,
well, out of winning anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what's happened there later on. I mean, the track's getting almost dry now. You know, I mean, it's slightly damp off the line in places, but you say it's almost dry. It just doesn't seem to have the pace that it had in qualifying. And Jamie Campbell-Walter in the Lister Storm at the moment is pushing very hard. I mean, they're carving through the back markers. Just see him there put the lights on just to tell that back marker that he's there and wanting to come through quick. And he's out there now just pushing, trying to get back in front.
And he's not too far away. It's visual, the gap, isn't it? Haysmans back in that car. Jamie Campbell-Walter, well, he nearly took it before. Will he take it now? The Ferrari is motoring its way back up through the field. Ricard Rydell back aboard the Ferrari. But it won last time. Podium would be nice, I suppose they're saying at the moment, but it could have been more, couldn't it?
It could have been, yeah. I mean, that's the stop-go penalty that they've incurred, I think, for going over the pit line is a bit unfortunate, and I think that with that aside, they would have been very competitive.
And I'll tell you, somebody in the pits now who's hard to be thumping is Mike Jordan, because first time out, he's driven the car before, but first time out in competition, what a lovely way to win an FIA GT round. He won't mind that it's Jamie Campbell-Walter, the regular pilot, at the wheel, but he'll be willing him on. Now it's just on a second between them, and he'll be looking very, very big and black and threatening behind Mike Hasemans, but he's not phased too easily as Hasemans.
No, I mean, Hasemans just going to be concentrating on the road in front, really, just keeping the car, trying to keep it smooth, really, and not making any mistakes. Don't try and make it too easy for Jamie Campbell-Walter to make a move on him, but at the moment it looks like the Lister has got the pace, and keeps going the way he is. I don't think he's going to be behind for long.
And if you're Hasemans, you want to try and get the odd car in front and try and get him at the right time to try and open, even if it's only a few tenths of a second, and leave more for Jamie Campbell-Walter to do.
Yeah.
Walter, Jamie Campbell, if it was a mistake, and I'm sure he would argue that it wasn't, I'm not sure what you really thought, because I think you thought it was.
It's always a big problem, though, when you have that situation with the damp track on the inside and the tail ender has the dry line. You can't brake as late as somebody when they're on the dry part of the circuit. And when you're on the road, on the wet, on a slick tyre, it's like driving on ice. And
oh, there's what's going to happen here. That's a real mess there, because the Belmondo cars within there. Hasemans is locked out. Campbell-Walter down the inside.
Perfect.
Used it beautifully.
I mean, he saw that happening there. There was a spin
involved the last time. This time there's a spin involved again. This time he takes benefit of it. And thank you very much.
I mean, that was just perfect. I mean, the two tail enders had a little bit of a spin. Jamie Campbell-Walter saw that ahead, managed to slow the car down enough as he turned into the corner, got on the power sooner than Hasemans, and managed to get him going into the inside into the pit corner.
New leader. He's led before, mind you, in this race. Jamie Campbell-Walter. They've had a bit of a barren spell last couple of races. As the current FIA GT champion won't be, of course, this year. That's the property of Bouchou and his teammate.
I think at the moment now, looking at the performance of the Lister, that he's going to start edging out.
And it looks like the Lister is very much in command as I speak at the moment. Hasemans going with him. In NGT, I think it's Philip Peter from Stefano Telli. So Robin Liddell is going to be on the podium as well, another British driver. But this British driver, in fact two British drivers, looking like they'll be, with that move, very much on the podium with the Lister Storm. Jamie Campbell-Walter leads, but it's not over yet. Back in just a moment. Jamie Campbell-Walter, not that far to go. 15 minutes remaining in the race. A race he started from 20th position. A race where we've seen the Ferrari of a stop-go penalty. A race where we saw Mike Hasemans into the lead. Campbell-Walter's led before. There have been pit stops, unfortunately at the wrong time, onto the wrong tyres. Cost Julian Bailey dear. And Rickard Rydell currently in second place ahead of Hasemans. And Mike Hasemans, really, I think he'll almost be certain of getting that second place, because I think Rydell has got to serve his sentence yet. He's got to be punished.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure, looking at the information, whether Rydell has actually gone into the pits to make that stop and go yet, but for sure, if he hasn't already, then crossing over that line, there's only one place he's going to be going.
I'll tell you who else is going very strongly and could well benefit from the problem that of the penalty that Rydell and Cox have. It's that the Cumberland Belmondo Gosselin car, the other Chrysler Viper, who would be very shortly looking to have a podium finish. In NGT, well, not quite sure what's likely to happen there. It's still fairly close in NGT. But right at the front, as we can see the Labra car come out again, the Labra GT car. There's Boris de Lichberg. But as far as Jamie Campbell-Walter, out of picture at the moment, as we see the other Paul Belmondo car going round. All he's got to do is really keep his powder dry, and keep himself dry as well. At 2 hours, It was Haysmans and Bleekemolen, but who will it be after 3 hours? Will it be the Lister Storm of Campbell Walter and Jordan? Well, the Kumpen Belmondo Gosling car is currently running back in 5th place. And there is the Ferrari. But it's gone in anyway. That's not on the stop-and-go penalty.
No, this is just a pit stop, I think, getting the fuel.
Close to the end of the race. But of course, when you've got the stop-and-go, you're not allowed to do it at the same time.
No, no. It's, you know, double trouble for them, really.
So at the front still Campbell, Walter and Jordan. And Haysmans and Bleekemolen. I think Rydell and Cox, who... it's Rydell coming out now. Should be good enough for 3rd place, so I suppose with their problems, they'll be relatively happy with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the win at the A1 ring was great for them with the limited experience they have with the car, and you know, I think if they can finish on the podium for this weekend, then they've done a great job again, really.
Well, 69 is leading the GT section, and that's Philip Peter and Werner. So the Porsche Super Cup duo, well, Porsche Cup racing working very well for them too. And they lead from Stefan Ortelli and Robin Liddell, so that partnership, Ortelli poled it, and clearly Liddell and Ortelli working very well together. Spare a thought though for the 77 car of Luca Riccatelli and Dieter Cuesta, because they were well in the lead in NGT, but fell into that pit window, which was the wrong pit window to be in, because they went on to slick tyres, and then the rain suddenly poured down within the lap again, and they had to come in and change back. Well, we're on board with the NGT leader, Philip Peter. His best lap in the race set on the drying track, 1:45.7, which is just 5 seconds off the Lister Storm pace. Haysmans and Bleekemolen have in fact gone faster than the Lister Storm, but Bailey and Springer, in fact Julian Bailey of course, set the fastest lap, 1:40.252. That a few laps ago. You're on board with British driver Robin Liddell, looking for a podium in FIA GT. So Jamie Campbell-Walter on the podium. We hope right obviously that on the podium will be Robin Liddell with Stefan Ortelli, and of course Mike Jordan will be on the podium also. So it's going to be a fair British showing, provided that Jamie Campbell-Walter, and provided that this man, Robin Liddell, takes the NGT car to the finish in the top 3 places. There's the car looking from a high camera angle as he comes onto the start and finish straight.
See, he's still pushing very hard there, just locking the wheel going into the pit corner.
Well, you never know, there could still be a victory ahead.
Exactly.
You know, something could happen, it's never over until the, well, better than calling that fat lady. Maybe we should say the thin lady sings or plays the harmonica or something. Thierry Perrier in the 11th place. And these Porsche 996s.
Locking that wheel again then.
Again dominant though, the 996 is dominant. Nothing that David Terrien could do this time. Terrien in fact way back down in something like 19th, 20th overall with Pescatori with a Ferrari 360 Modena. And there is the NGT leader. Werner and Peter the car of. And they've got a little bit of a cushion before Ortelli and Liddell, who are next up on the road, by the way.
See it spitting with rain again.
But it never knows when to stop, does it? Well, apparently when to start. And I can tell you out of picture
See,
that
there is rain on the windscreen
you
now.
Lister Storm fans, that Jamie Campbell-Walter is still keeping it firmly on the island. It might be spinning a little bit, and that could make it quite dramatic at the end. As Haysmans again in 2nd place. Rydell now in the seat of the Ferrari has rejoined. They're in 3rd place. But it's the Lister Storm that started way back on the 10th row of the grid after 2 races, one of them which we saw with Jamie Campbell-Walter very angry indeed after a gentleman driver And that is Mike Jordan, by the way. I was going to say the gentleman driver made a right mess of it, but that's Mike Jordan watching from the pit road. And when I mean, you've been in Le Mans situations, and when your team are going really well, you're looking for victory, etc., your heart must be thumping.
Oh yeah, for sure. The last thing that these guys want in this situation now, in the closing stages of the race, is it to start raining again. I mean, that just throws, you know, another scene into it, and just makes your life that much more difficult. I mean, it's bad enough anyway when you're heading to a podium position. You start thinking about problems with the car, but when you start having problems with the weather as well, that's just another problem to worry about.
The last two races not finished. Does it happen in threes, or is it third time lucky? Jimmy Campbell-Walter just taking the left-hander there. He's got to be certain to keep out of trouble, watch for back markers, watch for cars in their own battle, in class battles as well. But he's got a good cushion. It was from 15 seconds, an extended cushion from Heismans and young Jeroen Bleekemolen. Campbell-Walter, and I'm sure that Mike Jordan won't begrudge him at all having the longer time in the car. Not certain who will be with Campbell-Walter next year. They don't look that happy yet, do they? I mean,
still very tense at the
all
moment.
very serious, don't
The race
they?
isn't finished until you cross the line, you know. I mean, anything can happen even on the last corner of the race. So, you know, nothing's a result yet. Just needs to keep it calm, really, and try not to make any mistakes. Just take it easy. Don't take risks when you're passing the back markers.
12.4 seconds between Campbell-Walter and Heismans.
He's got the time there not to worry too much. He can afford to relax a little bit.
Still got cars to pass on this lap as we go back aboard with second placed Robin Liddell on the Porsche 996 GT3R trail, chasing the Porsche of Philip Peter. Liddell it will be who will have the honour of taking this car to the checkered flag and to at least second place on the podium. Jean-Pierre Jarier goes through. This is the Liddell car, locking up a little bit there. You've got to be careful all the time, though, haven't you? Because, you know, somebody makes a mistake in front of you, and you go from hero to zero in absolutely no time at all.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Just got to be very, very careful. Don't put wheel wrong, basically. I mean, you have to, a lot of concentration still at this stage of the race. Just, like I said before, just keep your eyes about, keep the wits about you, and don't try and make too many risks. Just keep it nice and neat.
The art of class racing is to be able to race looking ahead of you and in the mirror at the same time.
Very, very difficult situation. You know, with the more powerful cars, then they're just concentrating on their driving and overtaking the slower back markers. But for the Porsches and for the other Ferrari, it's a bigger problem. They're having to concentrate on the road in front of them, race the guys in front of them, and also look out for the faster cars which are coming up from behind.
Liddell's sorted out the chicane neatly there, straightening it out nicely. He's going to take the right-hand corner onto the start and finish straight. Just less than 5 minutes, the clock counting down. It's second place in NGT that he's looking at. They'll finish inside the top 10 as well, but that is the first place in NGT. The car of Philip Peter and Werner, the two Porsche Cup, they're both in the same Porsche Cup, Porsche Super Cup teams. And not that long ago, since Werner actually had a victory in the Porsche Super Cup, I think it was at the Nurburgring. Certainly a driver who knows this circuit very well indeed. Doesn't look like Liddell can catch him, but maybe very happy he and Stefano Telli, although Telli putting the car in pole if they can finish in second place. Less than 4 remain. All the time it's relayed into my ears where Jamie Campbell-Walter is, and I can tell you he's where he wants to be. He's where Mike Jordan and the Lister Storm team want him to be. He's right in the lead of the motor race. And there the gap between Peter and Liddell, 4.783 seconds. It takes some doing to pull that back in less than 4 minutes.
It's a difficult task. I mean, the only thing he can really wait for now is if it does rain on the closing stages, but it doesn't look like it's going to really downpour now. I mean, it's very, very difficult to close that kind of time.
And the 21 car that's of Vin Deems and Severite, the Chrysler Viper, that's lying just behind the leading two NGT cars. And again, it's looking like there might be some rain, but there's only 3 minutes of it left. I think that's our old friend Thomas Cock. And his race looks like it's up.
It's certainly starting to spit with rain again, which is going to make it slightly greasy, but I don't think at the moment it's going to make it too difficult for the leaders.
Jamie Campbell-Walter, less than 3 minutes from him and victory with the Lister Storm. And I know Mike Jordan in the pit road there will be absolutely delighted. One of the great competitors, Mike Jordan. So first to shake your hand if you manage to beat him. Doesn't shake an awful lot of hands for that. Mostly people coming to shake his, and neither does Jamie Campbell-Walter. Remember somebody was telling me when he was in TVR, a teammate said to him, I did a such and such and such time, thinking he'd done well. And he turned around to his TVR Tuscan teammate and said, if I did that time, I'd kill myself. And, well, I don't know what the Lamborghini's doing going back into the pit there with what's less than 2 minutes to go. But, well, who knows? I mean, it may have been something just to make sure it got through to the finish.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I didn't actually catch to see whether it had a fuel pipe attached at all, but it could have been just maybe he's damaged a car somewhere and they just wanted to check it. I don't know. Could be anything, really.
I'm looking to see where Julian Bailey and Nicholas Springer are, because Bailey's gone back into the Lister Storm, the other Lister Storm. Well, they'll top and tail the top six, because Jamie Campbell-Walter and Mike Jordan are in the lead, and about the next lap, maybe this is the penultimate lap, should see victory clinched. A tempting fate for them. And Julian Bailey and Nicholas Springer. Now this is the last lap. And thanks to our producers for flashing the screen up just at the right time to tell us the two Paul Belmondo cars in unison in front of them. Jamie Campbell-Walter, all he needs to do is stroke it home.
Exactly. I mean, looking at the cameras there as well, with the rain coming down on the cameras again, I mean, I think maybe, you know, a little bit more time and the track will start getting wet again, so it couldn't have come soon enough then.
He's had his share of bad luck this year. It looked like that bad luck was continuing with 20th place on the grid. He fought his way up through the field. He spun. He lost the opportunity of taking the lead. He kept the red mist away. He piled on the pressure again. His teammate did a brilliant stint in the middle as well. And Jamie Campbell-Walter and Mike Jordan are literally a couple of corners away from sending that team ecstatic. So the Lister Storm, backed by Newcastle United, my co-commentator Jamie Davis, hoping to be backed by Yeovil Town Football Club. Well, I'm not laughing at Yeovil Town Football Club, just thinking of their loss. I mean, excellent conference side. But the two Belmondo cars just there, and I don't think that Jamie Campbell-Walter will bother too much about a bit of lappery here. I think he'll just
I don't think so, no.
Take it through and look for that checkered flag, and there it will be, and he just goes gracefully over the line, and the Lister Storm has survived the storm.
That's great for them. I mean, the key for their race really was surviving the first couple of laps. I mean, that was where there was going to be some carnage, and that's where they really needed to keep the wits about them, really keep the eyes open, and they've done a great job. They brought it home and took the win.
Well, one of the Team Car Sport Honda teams didn't even get effectively to start the race. I shouldn't be laughing, really, and I'm not. Yes, I am. Only a little bit, and you know, I know they're very good normally. Certainly Hazemans, who didn't even manage to make it at first the Super Pole. They've excelled themselves, Hazemans and young Jeroen Bleekemolen with the Chrysler Viper. They finish in second place. This team, Philip Peter will finish the leader of NGT. I can tell you that Ricard Rydell and Peter Cox finished third with the Ferrari in GT. And Stefano Telly and British driver Robin Liddell will step on the podium step next to the top in NGT. It looks like he's just about to start heaving it down with rain again.
Yeah.
And Robin Liddell just happy to coax the car home now. So Campbell-Walter and Mike Jordan, confirmation of their victory. Hazemans and Bleekemolen second. Rydell and Peter Cox third. Fourth, Vincent Voss, Paulus de Lichtenberg. Kumpen, Belmondo and Gosselin finished 5th with the Chrysler Viper, and Lister Storm top and tail the top 6 with Nicholas Springer and Julian Bailey finish in 6th place. Philip Peter in 9th there. As Bouchard at top there, the man who's already won the championship with Jean-Philippe Belloc, they finished in 7th. In 9th place, the winner of the NGT class, and in 10th place, Robin Liddell and Stefan Ortelli. But let's hear now from the man who won it, Jamie Campbell-Walter.
Jamie, that was a very eventful race. Driving as though you're on a mission after the spin halfway through. How difficult was it to drive with the weather conditions changing so much?
Obviously very difficult. The start was wet, and then when it dried up it made it very difficult, but we had to run to the hour window, so it was impossible to drive. It's like sort of driving on ice, but we struggled through to the end, and then Mike got in, did a great job. We decided to do a shorter stint, change the slicks and put me back in with about an hour and a half to go. So a bit tired, but because it's not physically tiring in the wet, but it's mentally tiring. So, but really enjoyed it, and obviously went down to the first corner there, just about to take the lead, and the Lamborghini just turned in on me, and then someone spun in front of him, and it was either hit them or spin. So I decided to spin, and knew there was a good sort of 45-50 minutes left, and knew we had a quick car. So we're lucky, you know, we're back to our winning ways, aren't we?
Simon Walster, the pit road reporter for British Eurosport. Look at the top of the points. Well, we know Belloc and Boucher have won it, 70, but Campbell-Walter, Bleeker-Molen, 33 and 32, Hasemans with 32, Voss with 12 points. Now, we're looking a second at the NGT. That's going to be very interesting indeed. Luca Riccatelli must be cursing his luck. Rather a competition at the top there with 82 points. Team Car Sport Holland with 47. We're still talking, of course, GT at the moment. Lister Storm there. There's Riccatelli with 51. Pescatori and Tarian 46 and 46 apiece, but no real score for the Ferraris as far as they're really concerned today. Riccatelli's got it to do in the last 2 rounds, and so too is Tarian if he's going to catch him.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting battle, that one, for sure.
Well, with me throughout has been Jamie Davis. Said last time wish he'd get it back into the seat of a racing car. Any hope of that soon?
There's talk going on at the moment. Yeah, I'm off to the America pretty soon to have some talks and teams, so we'll see what happens.
Well, that's it for the moment. I know you've enjoyed Super Racing Weekend. We've certainly really enjoyed having you with us. And don't forget, there's 2 more fascinating rounds to come. Jarama on the 28th and 30th of September. And we'll certainly bring you the best of both the qualifying and the action of that. From Jamie Davis, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Me, Tony Delahunty. Enjoy your motor racing. Best on British Eurosport. Cheers. You get away.
The FIA GT Championship. With LeasePlan. Fleet management in motion. Filatice. Stretching fibers, fabrics and yarns.
Yokohama. Power of performance.
Eurosport Super Racing Weekend.
Yokohama, power of performance.
With lawn comfort, garden furniture.